This is not Spencer Martin's fault. None of this is Spencer Martin's fault. Why did we re-sign Freddie Anderson? Why didn't we go out and find somebody that's more reliable? Why didn't we go out and make a change when we needed to make a change? We've seen it year over year, and yet we did nothing about it in the offseason. We re-signed the same goalie, and we get the same result. And now we're caught in a situation where we're missing both of our starting goalies, and we're relying on our third stringer to then go do something, or we're going to have to make a big move in order to bring a goalie in. I don't want to have to make a big move. I like the way the rest of our team is shaped up.
Welcome back, episode 43 of Canes Local. Man, we got a lot to get to this week. Unpack the games played this week for the Hurricanes. Goaltending, big topic. We'll talk in depth about that. Have a bit of a wild card segment that we'll get to. We won't divulge too much, but we'll get to that. Around the league and our 3 stars, and then we'll take our final shift. So, again, everybody, welcome back, and Kyle, Cam, welcome back to this week. And how was your week? I know it's a big week, Thanksgiving. Everybody was traveling, and we were all over the country doing different things. And I think, Cameron, you were at home. Kyle and I were – Kyle was somewhere, I was somewhere, and I think now we're all back at home after the kind of a long, sleepy holiday week. How was your week, guys?
Yeah, I was down in New York, Irvington, New York, for Thanksgiving. Lovely Thanksgiving dinner. Corn souffle was immaculate, as always. That's my favorite. But got to go to New York City afterwards on Friday. Sent in some pictures. Cam thought I was in, Shanghai for a little bit, but we went to.
I think it was Bangladesh. Wasn't it, Cam?
Well, that's what you thought it was.
I said I was in Bangladesh, but no, we started our trip in Chinatown because we wanted to go see a couple of restaurants. We kind of did like a food tour around there. There's a place, I don't remember the name of it. They gave me 15 fried dumplings, $5. It was, let me tell you, best dumplings I've ever had. But for $5, you get 15 of those fried dumplings. Great thing. New York City, it was like
they covered it up with flavor. I'm not sure what the hell was in it, probably, but
it was
to get it for $5.
It was the best dumplings I've ever had. Right. And then we went over, got some soup dumplings, which those are hit or miss. And then we went and got some pizza. That was great. And then we wrapped it up with a couple sweet treats from Koreatown, which was nice too. So, and then we got the train home, but we got to see the probably the prettiest building in the world that hosts the worst team in the world, Madison Square Garden. So we got to see them. I don't like the Rangers, as everybody can probably tell, but we got to see Madison Square Garden. First time ever seeing that, so that was kind of cool. And then we walked past Empire State Building. But yeah, it was a good trip. It was enjoyable.
So Cam, you drove up 29 to go visit the in-law or the in-laws.
No, we were out in the sticks. We ate Thanksgiving and collected firewood. That's about all we did Thursday. So that's it was good though. It's good to have a couple days off of the grind. So
yeah,
and then start all over again tomorrow. So.
Yeah, your mom and I we were in Florida, and I tell you that was a long drive.
I don't know why you guys drive still.
To and from. So, it wasn't too bad. It was good. It was hot.
Could have caught a Spirit flight for less money than the.
Yeah, I know. You could have
I know.
For $50.
But I couldn't have brought back. I went down there. We went down there with a bag or two, and then came back with we needed a U-Haul bringing all the crap back that we were asked to transport back to the state of North Carolina.
Oh,
so.
I see.
I forgot they went through their entire wardrobe and got rid of a bunch of crap. So.
Oh yeah, pictures and. I mean, we got a whole bunch of crap
down there, don't they?
Yeah, oh, they do. Well,
all the junk up here.
Yeah, there was about 5 trips made to Goodwill too. So, what does that tell you? So, but all in all, it was a good week. I hope everybody that was listening had a great Thanksgiving and getting ready for the wild Christmas season to set in. So, you guys got your Christmas trees yet?
No, not yet. We'll get that here shortly, I'm presuming.
Yeah, we're gonna get it Monday.
Yeah. We're talking today potentially, but we'll see. So, anyways, well, let's dive in. And I think topic of the week for us is where in the hell are we with goaltending, and we need goaltending. And again, I don't want to harp on Spencer, but I tell you, we need a guy that can make a save when we need to make him to make a save. And I think we said it last week or the week before when the kid went down. We're going to have to score 4 goals in order to win hockey games, and it's coming true. The first 2 games of the week, and then we didn't get anything on the board.
Really. I mean,
yeah. So anyway, any updates on when and if Kochetkov's coming back into life? I know he's been practicing, but when he's going to come back into the lineup?
Yeah. So my understanding is that it's day to day. He was, I guess, an option yesterday. I don't know what that means, because that could mean a couple different things. That could mean that, he was an option, but he hadn't fully cleared yet. It could mean that he's fully cleared, but they wanted to give him an extra day's rest. We don't play again until Tuesday, so giving him Saturday, Sunday, Monday off as well too just kind of maybe helps a little bit in that regard. Mm-hmm. I want to preface this. Carolina did not play great either game against Florida. So it wasn't just Spencer Martin's fault. It was a team effort fault. But giving up 12 goals in 2 games is tough. The other thing I want to kind of make note, Spencer Martin was brought in to be a 3rd string goalie. That is exactly what he's doing. He's supposed to get called up for 2-3 games, play a couple games while another goalie's fixing a bump and a bruise, and then he's going back to the AHL when we have both of our starting goalies. This all starts with us re-signing Freddie Anderson. There was no point in us re-signing him. I love Freddie. I love him to death. But he has since been a Hurricane, has not been healthy a full entire season since being a Hurricane. That every season that he's been he's been with us, he's gotten injured at some point, and it's not a short injury. It's not like he's out 3-4 days. He's out weeks, if not months. Last year, he played, I think, 10 regular season games all year. I know that wasn't a physical injury, but it was a medical issue. But the year before that, he missed half the season again. The year before that, he missed half the season again. He missed playoffs one of the years. We need somebody that can be a genuine partner with Pyotr Kochetkov. Like I said, I love Freddie Anderson, but this all goes back to the beginning of the season. This is not Spencer Martin's fault. None of this is Spencer Martin's fault. This is, and I don't want to harp on the guy, but this is Eric Toluski's fault. Why did we re-sign Freddie Anderson? Why didn't we go out and find somebody that's more reliable? Why didn't we go out and make a change when we needed to make a change? We've seen it year over year, and yet we did nothing about it in the offseason. We re-signed the same goalie, and we get the same result. And now we're caught in a situation where we're missing both of our starting goalies, and we're relying on our 3rd stringer to then go do something, or we're going to have to make a big move in order to bring a goalie in. I don't want to have to make a big move. I like the way the rest of our team is shaped up, but now we're stuck in a situation where we have to make a move in order to get anything out of this damn season, unless Kochetkov can come back, or Anderson, once he does come back, can stay healthy the rest of the season, because I'm sorry, Kochetkov can't run 7 games in a row all the time, all year. And we can't rely on Spencer Martin to win us games in the back end of it, because that's not what he's here to do. He's here to fill in games when we need him. He's not here to be a backup NHL goalie. I maybe that's just my 2 cents into it, but this isn't Spencer Martin's fault. I know I tweeted out, I said we really need a goalie. I'm not saying that because I think Spencer Martin's a bad goalie. He's perfect at what he does. He's a 3rd string AHL starter that comes up and plays 5-6 games a season in the NHL, not 20. That's not what his goal is. We don't need him playing 20, 25 games in the NHL. We need him maybe playing 3, 4, 5. That's it. So we shot ourselves in the foot this offseason, and now we're paying the repercussions for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Cam. Go ahead.
No, you can go.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I think that's I mean, the argument could be made that, if you had another goalie, he could, both of them could have got hurt too.
100%, but we put ourselves in a better situation.
Yeah, I know, but I think the known commodity is that Freddie's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
So you knew it was coming. It's just not a matter of if, but when. So I'm 1,000,000% on board with you that, signing Freddie was albeit a fan favorite. Everybody sort of
great price too, like guy. Great deal. He's only making 1.5 million, so I get
it. So it just it doesn't make any sense. You need a healthy guy, and then you need a healthy backup for one thing. And if we can't get a guy that's going to be reliable on a backup role, then man, we're in a world of hurt. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing going forward. And if the team plays like shit in front of them, anybody, it's going to be a tough go here. We're hitting into that quarter pole grind component of the season, and we need to do something different now.
Yeah.
We can't wait. We can't wait for Freddie to maybe get better. We can't wait for the kid to stay healthy. I mean, we have to have something better in the process as far as a backup goes. And like I said, I like Spencer Martin. I do. I don't dislike the guy, but he's not an NHL goaltender. He's not a starter or a backup. And I think to your point, that's what he's good at, and do what you're good at. And he's just not good at playing multiple games in a row and leading a team, to sort of down the path to the playoffs.
Yeah. Spencer Martin was never the goalie that was going to lead us to the finals. Bottom line.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I still don't understand why they played him on the back-to-back. It doesn't really make any sense to me, because what do you gain out of? I mean, you know what he's going to give you, so you feel like maybe Perretz can give you about as good, maybe a little worse. But I mean, what's a little bit worse than bad? Like, I don't know. It's kind of that's odd to me. And then, yeah, again, he was kind of put in this situation he didn't expect to be in, I'm assuming, at some point this season. But yeah, basically they re-signed Martin knowing that he would be the backup for a majority of the season, which I don't agree with. Yeah. That's not a strategy for. Yeah, I mean, look at what Colorado just did. I mean, they just signed Wedgwood, because, I mean, Georgiev can't stop a beach ball, and their backup was horrible as well, and they shipped him off to Nashville to get developed. And so it's, I don't know. I mean, there needs to be some sort of movement with a goalie. I think you put Freddie on LTIR, and then once he's healthy again, you waive him. And if anybody wants to pick him up, by all means, or just, I mean, he's cheap, so might as well just keep him.
He's not
like
expensive.
It's not like he's hurting the cap a whole lot. And it's just it's disheartening. But on the bright side, I did say last Sunday, if we came out of those 4 games 500, I'd be happy. So we're 500.
I was gonna make that note right after.
That's the flip side of it. Is like, I think Spencer played okay in the first 2 games. I think he struggled in the first Florida game, and I mean, I think he played okay the first period and a half yesterday, and he let in the goal that was eventually called back offside. I don't know how he didn't save that. Honestly, I'm not a goalie, and I'm not going to pretend to be a goalie or a goalie coach, or I'm not a pro. But I don't know. I don't know if there's something that I didn't see for the reason he didn't save that. And when you're a team, when you're looking at that and you're like, oh my God, he let that in, like on the bench, that's in your head now. You're like, holy shit, we really got to score now. And then you're pushing, you're pressing hard, or at least trying to. They didn't look like they were, but
no,
they're gripping the stick tighter. They're like, okay, we really got to, not let them get shots on goal, basically. And
yeah, they stopped attacking is what they did.
Yeah.
They tried to defend.
They started defending because they're like, okay, the goalie can't really stop much, so we really got to hunker down. And then, waiting till it was 5-0 to pull Spence at that point, just let him stay in. Like, I don't know why you're pulling him at 5-0. Like, if it was 3, sure, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think
it is what it is. It's a lot of things, but
I think the other thing too is we said go if they went 500, then we would be good with it. I mean, if you really look at it though, I mean, are you really excited about the way they got the 500? Because for the Dallas game, they played a period basically. For the Rangers game, I didn't see the Rangers game, so I can't comment to that one. But the Florida game was both of them, quite honestly, were not Hurricane hockey. So I think we lucked into 2 wins. Because, we didn't play well enough. We played it well enough at times to win those games, and we got fortunate bounces, and we got fortunate puck luck in some of those games. But man, I tell you, I'll walk away with 4 points for the 8 points. I get it. You take them, you run, you go on to the next game, you live another day. But I wasn't really excited about that 500 accomplishment because we weren't in really two of the Florida games we weren't in. And then
I thought we were more in the first.
I was going to say that I think the first one we were
all.
in. It's just
the first one. The first one there was definitely I think the Canes put together a whole period of total time of actual, pressing, a lot of shots on net, just really harping on that style of play for a period against the Rangers against the Panthers in the first game. The second game, I don't even know why they flew down there.
The first period, I thought in the second game, Carolina actually played well, but genuinely, I thought it was a 50-50 period. I thought Carolina played pretty well against. We have to remember the defending Stanley Cup champions. It's not like they're playing a cakewalk team. It's not like we're playing San Jose. We're playing the defending Stanley Cup champions. This whole week, the way I look at it, when you're playing the top talent in the NHL, I'm scared to call New York top talent at this point because they suck right now. Granted, we're not doing much better, but
they got a lucky win yesterday.
Yeah, they're lucking into wins right now. But the big issue is it's okay, we played Dallas. I don't ever expect to dominate Dallas. Bottom line, I don't expect it to be a 3-period complete effort domination of Dallas because Dallas is too damn good of a hockey team. Yeah. Rangers, same thing. They're too good of a hockey team to dominate them for 3 periods. I thought in that Rangers game, for the most part, outside of the 3 goals that we did let up, I thought we controlled a lot of that game. I thought we controlled pace. I thought we shut Panarin's line down. I mean, the 3 guys that scored were all depth pieces for New York. It wasn't the top line scoring for them. So outside of that aspect of it, I thought we actually played really well in that New York game in comparison to the fact that they were just in the Eastern Conference Finals either last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember. They're a good hockey club. They're going through a tough stretch right now, but they're still a good hockey club that always seems to have our number. So we come out on top there, which is a great thing to see when you're looking as a Carolina fan. Because guess who was in net as well too? It was shit Turdskin. So we had Shesterkin in net, who we never, ever seemed to be able to beat, and we put up 4 past them. I'm taking the positive out of that portion. Spencer keeps it below 3, which is what we need him to do because we can score 4 goals. Go to the first half of that Florida game, not a good look. Second half of the Florida game, other than the second half of that third period, so second half of the first, or second half of the second, and the first half of the third, I thought we were the better hockey club. I really did. I thought we were the better of the 2 hockey teams. I thought we took a while to get going, which is kind of Carolina's MO this year for some reason. We just are really slow starters. But we get going, and especially in the third period, we're probably one of the best third period teams in the NHL. I think we're plus 52 in goal differential in the third period right now. But we shoot ourselves in the foot against these really good hockey clubs when we can't get a save in those times where we're getting onslaughted. Because guess what? Just as Carolina onslaughts teams, the best teams in the NHL as well too will onslaught us. When it's a 50-50 game and you're playing against the league's best, Florida is seen as the league's best. That's seen as the pinnacle. If you want to make it to the NHL, you want to win the Stanley Cup, you're going to have to go through Florida. If you want to win out of the East, you're going to have to go through Florida. If you want to win out of the West, probably going to have to go through Florida in the finals. It's just the way I look at it. Florida is a well-coached hockey club. They're really well put together. They're nasty. They're assholes. They don't do anything the quote-unquote right hockey way outside of their captain, Barkov, because I think he's probably arguably one of the best, Bergeron level players where it's just you can't hate him. He's just so good at hockey. He seems like such a good guy off the ice as well, too. Everyone else, Sam Bennett just dummies Chatfield into the goalie, and then, but that's how they're going to play. They're going to play an asshole-style game. That's how Maurice wants them to play. That's how the whole team wants to line up. Carolina, I thought for portions of games in both of those games shoved it down their face as well too. The difference is that in that first game we're tied 4-4 or 3-3. I can't remember what I think the final score was 6-3.
Yeah.
So we were tied 3-3 and we let up a goal from the blue line on a 1-on-2. That's the difference in the game. Cam, you know it. Dad, you know it. When you're playing in front of goalies, you play differently based on who you're playing in front of. We played differently this week because again, I don't want to blame Spencer Martin because it's not Spencer Martin's fault. He got put into a shit situation. Just calling a spade a spade. He's playing with one of the best teams in the NHL. He's not at the level he probably needs to be playing at this level. And we're kind of throwing him to the wolves a little bit here. I mean, his first full starter role is against Dallas, New York, Florida, and Florida. Four of the best teams in the NHL. That's a shitty way to kind of start your career in Carolina, per se. I know he played games last year. I know he's had games this year. But really diving into like that starting role that he's got to take over right now, he got thrown probably the worst. I mean, if he was playing, let's say he was playing, we had San Jose, then we had Seattle, and then we played Chicago, and then we played Pitt. Probably winning all 4 of those games, and Martin's probably got a shutout maybe in that week. But against the top talent in the NHL, you can't give up anything, and you can't give up, especially an easy goal, because the second Florida got that goal from the blue line, they started firing everything at the net. They put 2 more past them. Granted, one was an empty net, so we put 1 more past them. And then we look at the Saturday game, Cam, same thing. He lets up the goal that ends up being overturned. They go down 2 minutes later and score again, and then they go down 2 minutes later and score again. And then in the third period, they score right off the hop. They score again like 3 minutes later. They score again like 5 minutes later. Like, the snowball effect is so real. And that's also, once Spencer Martin lets in that goal, it gets called off. But the whole team's like, oh, shit, here we go again. Like, that's just the way it feels. It's like, oh, he's already letting up a softie. Yeah, I got called back, but like, shit, we can't let anything up. And then all of a sudden you're letting everything up because you're trying way too damn hard to keep the puck out of your own net. You're not focused on playing the game the right way and moving up ice. So it's just like we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And
no. And the other thing too is power play. Let's not lose sight of the specialty. I mean, they get that shorty in the Thursday or Friday game. That was a killer. Because that was the killer. I mean, and you gave up, and I think our power play. Power play started great. It's stagnant. They stand still too much. They don't move the puck quick enough anymore. It's so crazy because when you watch Florida, like, and the backbreaker goal yesterday was the second goal at the very end of the first period, is the power play goal, and it was a backbreaker because they moved the puck so quick. It went from Barkov over to Tkachuk, back across the seam, and the guy was wide open back door. It was quick. It was like right like that. Quick. We dusted the damn puck. I mean, I love Marty Necas. I do. He's having an awesome season, exceptional season. Even Aho is the same thing. They wait too freaking long. They dust the puck. They try to do too much fancy shit. That's the problem. I mean, they got to move the puck quick. They have to move the puck quick, and they don't do it. And if we don't do that, then we're screwed. Because we got so many opportunities yesterday on the power play that we have to bury special teams. We have to do that against teams like Florida, and or any team. Quite honestly, you have to take advantage of those opportunities, and we're not doing it right now. And that's it puts all that more pressure on Martin to be good. And to play, we have to play more defensively because we're gripping a little bit tighter. But for the way our power play is moving right now, I mean, who knows what would happen if you still had Kochetkov in the net? And maybe you get the same result. I don't know.
Well, let me put it to you this way:
the games would be closer.
Yeah,
I do. I really think they'd be a lot closer. I mean, I can't see Kochetkov letting in more than 4. In either of these games. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the first game, I couldn't see him letting more in than 2. I mean, I could see in the first Florida game, I could see him letting in obviously the shorthanded goal. And I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like the first 3 were like just beach balls that were just brutal.
The second one was somebody flying down the slot, so I'll give Spencer that one. First one's a backhand from the top of the circles. That's got to be a stop. I know it was a good backhand, but like that's got to be stopped. There was no screen in front. There was no nothing. You just got beat clean on a backhand. But even if even if Kochetkov lets those first 3 goals in, Carolina crawls back into that game, claws their way back in, ties it 3-3. And the very next shift, you let in a goal from the blue line on a 1-on-2. It was one guy going against both Canes defensemen, and you let in a shot from that's the one where it's like, I think Kochetkov has that one, and then all of a sudden Carolina has momentum still. They're still carrying momentum in the third period, and I think it turns into a different game. They don't get that shorthanded goal afterwards because they don't have the momentum that they're carrying right now. Carolina's not looking for a goal, so they're not probably force-feeding passes through the middle of the box, which aren't working right now. I mean, we're not moving enough to open up seams in the box. So it's not working. And it ends up into a 2-on-1 turnover going down the other way. Shot, great pass off pad. Martin lets it right up to the other guy, backdoor tapping. The difference is, even if Kochetkov lets in the first 3 like Martin does, he's saving that 4th one, which is then in turn giving Carolina an opportunity to build off of the momentum they just gained by scoring 2 goals to tie the game.
Yep.
That's the major difference.
Yeah. No, I get it. I do. And it's frustrating from the outset to look at it. And, can you really, can the situation be any different, with a guy, if Martin, say we use the other guy from the American League or we run somebody new or whatever, I don't know. I can't say that it would be different the way the teams necessarily played in front of it. Maybe they play different in front of Kochetkov. Maybe they do, but we stopped attacking, and Florida really played a game like we play against most people. So they took our game and shoved it right back in our throat, and we lost the games, and so we're usually coming out on the other side of the good ones, but yeah, they did exactly to us what we do to everybody else.
Let me.
Well, I'm wondering too, like, at what point is management looking at it like, okay, we actually do need a backup. Like, we can't rely on Spencer to play another 10 games this year. Like, at what point do you look at that? Honestly,
the thing is, I'm cool with Spencer playing 10 more games this year if he's only playing 10. But the way we're going right now, he's going to play 35 games, and that's where I have the issue. That's where I'm struggling more. It's like, hey, Kochetkov's been hurt twice already. Like, Spencer's going to play 35 games this year. That's too many. 10. If he only plays 10 more games this year, I'm cool with that. That's a normal backup role. That means Kochetkov's healthy or Anderson's healthy, one of the two. But I don't think Martin's only playing 10 more games this year. That's where I'm really struggling with this. It's like we're SOL. And sorry, I'm gonna take over here. If we started Freddie the way we asked him to be started, where Kochetkov's playing 5 games, Freddie plays 1, Kochetkov's playing 5, Freddie's playing 1. Freddie's really only playing the back-to-back / if Kochetkov has a 3 or 4 game stretch where he's kind of struggling a little bit, you put Anderson in for a game or 2. He got played way too much, way too early, and now we're in this situation. Bottom line. Just he can't play. He can't play. He can't play 41 games in a year. We can't rotate him. We can't. We can't do it. No ifs, ands, and buts. And we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
We'll see. I promise you this. I won't watch another game where he's a starter. I'm not doing it. Because I don't want to see the team that's in front of him. It's not necessarily him. I just don't want to see the Canes play in front of him.
Yeah.
Because I know they're not going to play the game that they need to play to win. So, I mean, we'll be in the house on Tuesday for the Sharks game, but I might have to bring a blindfold or some duct tape.
Is it the Sharks? I thought it was Seattle on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's the Kraken.
Yeah, the Kraken on Tuesday. Yeah,
Kraken?
Seattle.
Okay. The Sharks are the week after.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Yeah.
So
Seattle.
I don't know. Well, I think we'll wait and see. But to answer your question, Cam, for me, the time is now. We can't wait. We can't wait any further because every game we fall further and further down the standings. And we can't take too much time to fix that problem and put in somebody that has NHL experience and that can be a reliable backup that can play 20, 25, 30 games in a season. And, Tulski's got to earn his money right now because he's starting to lose games. He's not. This is sort of an experience for me. Is that a couple of 2-game skids here, almost back to back, and I get it. He's not playing with a top goaltender, but he's got to make some decisions, and the team's got to figure this out because we're going to be having this same discussion in 2 weeks if Martin's still the starting goaltender, and we may be out of a playoff spot. I'm quite certain we will be.
Oh, if he keeps starting and Kochetkov still remains, because day to day with a concussion could mean a month. Like it's just because one day you feel fine, the next day you feel like shit. Like it just that's the thing with concussions and that kind of stuff is it just kind of comes in waves at some point.
Yep.
Like some days you feel good, some days you don't. So this could be another week or two that they're still without him, and I think kind of towing. As a fan, like towing the fans along, being like, "Oh, he's close. He's day to day. He's day to day." It's not like he's day to day with a hand injury. It's a concussion. Like it's random. When he feels good one day, he doesn't the next. And if Martin continues to be the starter for the next 2 weeks, I would be shocked if the Canes are still in a playoff spot at that point. I mean, I think they go below 500 on their record, honestly. So. We'll see, though.
Yeah, we're kind of already headed to that spot now. Seattle game. The Seattle game is the one where it's like, hey, if Carolina plays their game, even if Spencer Martin's the starting goalie, we should take that one.
They can run them over.
That's the thing. They could take that one for sure. But then we have Colorado on Thursday. It's like, hey, they're gonna run our show if Spencer Martin's the starting goalie. It's not a knock on Spencer Martin. But Spencer Martin doesn't need to be playing against the top teams in the NHL. Like if he's playing against
he needs to be playing against the bottom teams to give Kochetkov a rest.
Exactly.
That's what he needs to be doing.
He needs to be playing. This would be if Kochetkov played, he would probably. I mean, I'm assuming he probably would have. If he was in, probably would have played 3 of the 4 games this week, and then Martin would have probably played Tuesday's game against Seattle to give him a couple days rest. And then you go
played one off the back-to-back.
And then you go back.
He probably would have played one of the Florida games. I bet a lot he would have. Kochetkov would have started Monday, Wednesday, and then probably Martin would have started Friday, and then Kochetkov would have started Saturday.
Yep, and then
back-to-back.
And then I think you would have gone back to Martin against Seattle because that's the team Martin should be playing against to give Kochetkov a rest because then Kochetkov's off from Saturday till Thursday. That's a long rest period where Martin can take that Tuesday night game against Seattle. That's where Martin needs to fill in. Martin doesn't need to be playing Dallas, Rangers, Florida. That is a gauntlet. I feel bad for him. But at the end of the day, this is the National League. Like at the end of the day, you're getting paid a hell of a lot of money to stop the puck, and right now we're not getting that out of our goaltender. And Dad, I know you say that the Canes aren't playing well in front of him. Go back to my U16 year. I'm only going to name one of the 2 goalies. When we played in front of Britt League versus when we played in front of the backup, how different were we when we played those 2 games? Because it was a completely different team.
Yeah. No, I get it. And here's my kind of my feedback on that is I don't think the Canes should change a damn thing about what they're doing in front of whatever goaltender. I know easier said than done, but we said it last week. We got to score more than 4 goals. So I don't give a shit if we give up 4 goals.
Yeah.
We have to score 4 goals. So we have to continue to press and do what we do and don't worry about playing defense. We can't do it because we have to take it and shove it right back at them. And it goes back to, I think, one of my favorite lines from the movie Miracle was Herb was standing in front of him. He says, you don't defend them, you attack every single time because you can't win a game defending a team like Florida or like Colorado. You can't defend a team like that. They're too good offensively. You have to shove it right back at them. It's a track meet. You're going to have to do those until you got a goaltender behind you, and you're going to have to score 4 goals in front of Spencer Martin. You're going to have to do it. May not have to score 4 goals in front of Pyotr Kochetkov or Freddie Anderson, but you still should not change the way you're playing the game. Yeah. And that's what we've done. And that's what we did against Florida. Yeah. I think we started to defend way too much.
Yeah. And the thing is, you don't even realize you're changing the game. It's so obvious visually, but it's like when you go out there and you're playing, you don't think that you're playing differently. It's a mental thing where it's like, it's so subconscious that you don't even realize that you're actually doing it. But you start gripping the stick a little tighter. You start not pressing as hard because you're worried about getting out of position and allowing an open shot opportunity. You start doing everything like this. But I 100% agree with you, Dad. Best defense is a good offense. If you can, because guess what? Carolina, when they're playing their top game, they'll hold teams below 15 shots in a game. Yeah. I bet you Spencer Martin can save 12 of those 15.
Yeah.
Like, that's all we're going to really need. It's like 12 of the 15. And when Carolina's playing their top game, the issue is that I don't think it's reasonable to ask Carolina to play that level of dominant hockey against the defending Stanley Cup champions. That's one of those games that it's going to be a tight game no matter what. That's a game that should end 2-1. I mean, in all reality, that's a game that should end 2-1. Yeah. And it's just like if there's a goalie in an actual goaltending matchup, that's what we would get. But how good, sorry, just to kind of go off topic, how good was my Spencer Knight call? I think he'd be a great addition to the Carolina Hurricanes. He just posted a shutout against us yesterday.
I don't know that. I don't know after, he's been playing pretty well here lately. So
especially versus Bob. Bob has not been playing well.
Yeah, I would. If I'm Florida, I'm not giving up a guy like that without a pretty hefty price tag.
Yeah, it's
because of the way he's been playing. So
I don't want to sell the
so I don't know.
house
We'll see, but I think Tulski's got to do his homework here. And Cam, to your point, I think they're going to at the end. I think next Saturday they're going to be at the Islanders. So let's hop Sorokin or Varlamov on the plane back home with us, and we'll see what happens.
Or, I mean, at this point, the Rangers are even possibly looking at blowing it up too. So, maybe get Jonathan Quick.
Yeah,
I wouldn't hate that as a backup, like a veteran backup goalie, multi-Stanley Cup winner. I mean, listen, I think it's going to be hard to – and that's kind of the problem too, is a lot of the better goalies are in the Metro. Like, a lot of the good goalie tandems are in the Metro. So it's really tough for those Metro – it's like trading within your within the ranks is kind of tough. I'll put money on it, but I bet nothing's going to happen. I bet Kochetkov comes back and Martin goes back to being the backup role, and then we kind of sweep the problem under the rug, and that's what's going to happen. I know that's what's going to happen. They're not going to pick up a goalie. They're just not going to do it. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning is. I don't know if they're just like, we're going on a skid. We'll get out of it. It's like, we'll get out of it when Kochetkov comes back and plays 1,000 games in a row. That's what'll happen. Like, we're gonna kill this kid, playing him, the rest of the season. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's obviously I'm not making the money to make the decisions for the team, but unfortunately, folks, I wouldn't get too excited about a move happening. It's not gonna happen. It's just not. So,
what move I would
buckle up.
I would actually like to see, and it's kind of based off of that Jonathan Quick move. He just signed a 1-year deal. It's his last year in the NHL. Give him one more run. I think he has a better chance with Carolina than he does his current team.
I don't know. I think Fleury is pretty comfy in Minnesota.
How did you know? I was going to say Marc-Andre.
Well, I mean, look at it. Minnesota just traded out of Columbus for, I think it was, if I was reading correctly, I think he was like a 6 overall pick as a defenseman. He's a really young guy. Minnesota basically just sold the farm to get him.
They did.
That's what I'm saying is they're probably going to want some draft picks back.
A third round, a fifth round, and a sixth round, I think.
Yeah, they gave up like 5 or 6.
They gave up like 5 draft picks. I mean, Waddell is stacking draft picks. I mean, he's doing exactly what he does in Carolina. He's okay with it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's how he built Carolina.
And they're playing well too.
That's what I'm saying is like Minnesota's a good team. They're just getting better. So I don't think Fleury's leaving. I really don't. He's not going to leave unless the Canes give up draft picks.
So the only reason
that's what Minnesota doesn't have now.
The only reason I'm saying Marc-Andre could be a good fit, I think he's on like a $3.5 million year deal right now. Minnesota has like $800,000 in salary cap. So if they're looking to add anything else to their roster before the end of the season, they're going to have to free up salary cap space. And their starting goalie is not Marc-Andre Fleury right now. Their starting goalie is Gustafsson. So if that's their rock, their guy that they're going with, he's playing about 75% of the games right now. Fleury's playing about 25%. He's kind of going on his farewell tour. I just think that for Minnesota, it would make sense to offload some cash, get about 4 to 5, closer to $5 million in cap space available to where they can then go out and grab an asset for the front end, because you're only going to play really one goalie in playoffs, like in all reality. And then on top of that,
out of the West, yeah.
What was that?
I was talking about like only going to play one goalie, as in like one solid goalie that they're going to play. I mean, I think out of the playoffs, are you talking about they're only going to rely on Gustafson in the playoffs?
Typically,
like they're not going to play Fleury.
Typically NHL. You look at all teams that play playoffs. I mean, Bobrovsky played every game. Shesterkin typically plays every game. Even last year, Anderson played every game. Like outside of the 2 games in the Rangers series where we then finally switched over to Kochetkov, but you're typically riding your number one guy for the entirety of playoffs. I think that the number one guy right now in Minnesota is Gustafsson. I think, though, like I said, if you could remove a couple $1 million off of the books, allow yourself to maybe get a depth forward, because that's what they're lacking a little bit right now, is in that depth scoring department, or grab a 3-4 defenseman. At $5 million, you could get a good 3-4 defenseman that all of a sudden bolsters your lineup and allows you to generate more and more chances, create more offense, or just have depth throughout the lineup. I think that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, man. I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't. If I'm Minnesota, though, why would I give up a really solid backup goaltender?
Yeah,
I mean, if they're truly in the hunt, they're truly playing the way that if they can go at it about getting it a different way, giving up draft pick, getting up other prospects,
they don't have money,
things like. I get it.
So they have to trade somebody out to get cap in.
Are you going to
trade a roster piece?
You're going to free. Well, I'm just saying you're going to free up $3.5 million, say, with Fleury. Okay, but then what do you put behind him? What do you put in?
Yeah,
what if Gustafsson gets hurt? They're going to put themselves in the same situation we're in. If Gustafsson goes out, then Fleury can come in. He's a legit number one goaltender.
Like he can still.
That's just long in his career. So if I'm Minnesota, I'm not doing it.
No,
I wouldn't do it. I'd love to have him, but I just don't see Minnesota doing it, because they're going to put themselves in a damn world of hurt if Gustafsson goes out. And, they're not having to play a guy like Spencer Martin or a guy like Yanni Peretz or whoever, Tokarski, whoever the guy is in the American League. So they're playing a legit number one as their backup. And I think that's why they won't do it. Would I want them to do it? Absolutely. I'll take it. I'll take them all day long and twice on Sunday. But they're not going to do it.
I think the problem too is we're just we're kind of talking in circles, because we at the end of the day we all know nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like deep down we know they're not going to trade for a goalie. Guys, come on. Like we're going to be real. If we're going to be honest here, they're not getting a goalie. They're not trading for a goalie.
Yeah. Well,
they're just not doing it.
The only reason I really pointed to Minnesota too is they have Jesper Wallstedt. I think I'm saying his name correctly. I had to look it up to make sure. Rookie goalie. But what? Oh no, I know we'll wrap. But the final thing, that Jesper Wallstedt, he's a lot like Kochetkov, where he is the real deal in the AHL. He's probably after Fleury's gone, he's the backup next year. If I'm Minnesota, the one asset I have an abundance of is goaltending. That's where I have an abundance, because I have a rookie goalie on a rookie deal, only making $775,000 a year. That's playing really well in the American Hockey League, has played NHL games, and has proven he can play at the NHL level. He's got good numbers in the NHL so far. The issue is that they have 2 really good goalies in front of him right now, and they're going to try and season and develop him. What's a better seasoning and developing than being the backup in the NHL? Well, the second half of the season, all of a sudden you're the backup to Gustafsson. You again, still a good goalie. You're still kind of pushing him into that Kochetkov role. I just think that if I'm Minnesota, the one thing I have an abundance of is goaltending. I don't necessarily need extra goaltending. I don't necessarily need a bona fide backup when I have a rookie that can come in and take that role. So if I'm Minnesota, the one thing that I would get rid of is a goaltender, and the one goaltender I would get rid of is the one making the most money, which is Fleury, making 3.5 at the oldest age that he of the 3 goaltenders as well too. Yeah. So it's like just that was where the Fleury one came from, but we'll kill it there because we've talked plenty.
Yeah. No, we've been going, like I said, to Cam's point, we've been sort of going in circles, but I I guess to Tulski, I hope he, excuse me, I hope he makes a change. Will he? Probably not. But at the same time, we'll see. But the change has to come soon, because we can't run Spencer Martin too much longer, because we'll run ourselves right out of the playoffs.
Yeah. And send Anderson back to Minnesota, and then all of a sudden they got 3.
Yeah, no, there you go. Hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, but more to come on that. So we'll table that. I think we beat that into the ground. But it's an important piece to beat into the ground, because it's something that's going to be the difference between us making the playoffs and not making the playoffs this year. I think everybody had high hopes, and I think that's going to come to fruition, if we can solidify that spot. So we'll leave that for now. I'm sure we'll talk about it again if we need to, but hopefully we stop talking about goaltending into the future.
Yeah, only positive thing, Kochetkov's been on the ice the past 5 days in a row. So if it was really a real bad concussion issue, he wouldn't be on the ice 5 days in a row. So that's a positive.
Yeah.
That's where we'll leave it.
All right, so we'll move on here to the next segment, and kind of a wild card segment, we're going to call it, for lack of a better term, but we're going to have a couple of different versions of it. Last week we did blind rankings, and this week we're going to dip into the cookie jar and get a couple of questions. These are sort of random questions, so they may be hockey related, may not be, but in general, we'll see what they are, and sometimes, you never know what you're going to get when you dip into the cookie jar. So we'll go. So first one, let's see, where would you like to travel back in time, and why?
Do I have to be like a full-blown person, or am I like a fly on the wall type of thing?
No, whatever. There's no restrictions here. So if you could go back, where would you go and why?
Well, this is tough. Cam, you got one? You can go first if you got one.
I mean, I don't know. Go back in time somewhere. Maybe before humans were alive, that I'd be number one. That's the only thing I could think of. Then I'm the first one.
It's not Adam and Eve. It's Cam and Eve.
Yeah, I guess there's just me. That's it. It's just me.
Just Cam.
That's it. I guess I don't know. I have no idea. I was not expecting that. So we'll go. Yeah, I'll pick a. I guess I'll pick a real. Probably like, I don't know, like ancient Egypt or something.
That'd be cool.
Like all the way back there. That'd be pretty cool. I guess.
Now, which ancient Egypt?
Maybe not.
Are you talking the one that
slave, but
the everybody thinks of, or are you talking the 20,000-year-old ancient Egypt?
I don't know. We'll see. I guess wherever it takes me. I guess I say it's kind of one of those where you rub the lantern and get 3 wishes, and you have to be very specific, or it'll just throw you wherever. Yeah. So we'll see.
see where that takes
wherever
you.
It takes me.
Yeah. I'll give 2 answers. Because Cam just kind of took. I was gonna say to whenever the pyramids were built. I don't know when they were built. I'm not gonna say that they were built 65,000 years ago, 6,500 years ago. Because I don't necessarily believe that 100%. But whenever the pyramids were built, I'd like to see how they did it, because I don't think it was done how everybody says it was done. But we'll digress from there. Second one would be, let me see if I get the date right. June 15th, 2006. It was RBC Center at that point.
June 19th.
June 19th. Sorry. Yes. I knew I was in the right month and had the teen number. So June 19th, 2006. I would like to be somewhere in that building to watch Carolina hoist Lord Stanley. I got to watch it at home. I have very vivid memories from that day. But I feel like that would be probably one of the coolest things as a Hurricanes fan, is just from the Hurricanes point of view, being at that game would probably be one of the cooler experiences.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that. Mine would be like yours, Cam. I think it would be going back to, just to see how stuff was done. I don't think you'd necessarily want to be involved in like say like a Game of Thrones era type. Like, that's brutality at its finest. I mean, that was, it was like, there was no
Dark
law.
Ages, yeah.
It was law made up on the fly. It was just like, okay, I don't like it. Boom, heads off. Let's go on to the next one. but I wouldn't want to be part of the culture, but to be a fly on the wall, to see how it all evolved and to see how it actually happened in live form. And if it's real, if the storyline is the same or close to what actually happened, we don't know. We're going based on interpretations of historical documents and this and that and the other. But to see the evolution of that era, I think it would be pretty damn cool. But again, to your point, Kyle, watching the Canes raise the cup would have been pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Too.
So the one last one. The reason why I asked fly on the wall is because I was like, the one really cool one that I don't necessarily know I want to be actually alive for it would be like the Battle of Bastogne with the 101st Airborne Division. Like just seeing the craziness they had to go through, I think would be a very eye-opening experience. But I would not want to be an actual person at that point. I would like to be a fly on the wall type of thing where it's like, hey, I'm not there actually, sure. But I'm just seeing it happen in front of me.
Yeah. So anyways, okay. So we'll go one more and then we'll head into another segment of this another topic in this segment. So we've been to a lot of places in our travels with you guys and myself. And so here's one that I thought was pretty cool, pretty interesting, because there's a handful of ones that I can think of. But if they had, a specific, if you could eat something every day from a concession stand at a place that you've been to, what would it be? I got 2 or 3 that jump right off the top of my head.
From a concession stand.
I know my answer, so I can take this one first.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to Quebec and to whatever that arena is now. I forget it. It was the Coliseum de Pepsi when we were up there. I think they have
the Coliseum.
Yeah, I think they have like the Videotron Center now or something like that that they play in now because they have a new arena.
They do.
The mixture, and I know it's not one particular concession food, but the mixture of those hot dogs, the poutine, and those ice cream cones. Oh my God. I think I ate about 48 hot dogs on my trip to Quebec. Might be why I did. Yeah. I played a little slow towards the back half of that tournament, but it'd probably be at the Coliseum because the combination of food there is just very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I don't think I had that while we were there, but so what about you, Cam?
And I don't even know. Like I'm trying to think of like, I mean, obviously it could be like a run-of-the-mill rink, I guess, too. Obviously, it doesn't have to necessarily be like a stadium, I guess, but
no, any rink.
Man, I don't know. I have no idea. I can't even think of. I don't really eat a lot of the food at the rinks. Whenever you go there, I always just grab a snack or something. I never sit down and have food. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess you throw me at any arena, ballpark, anything. I mean, I'll be cool with a hot dog. So I guess like maybe the hot dogs from Fenway. I guess they were pretty good. So it's tough to live on hot dogs for the rest of your life, but that's a tough ask. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, there's a couple, and they're all relative to when I used to go to the Montreal Forum back in the day. This is back in probably the late 70s, early 80s.
The 40s. How old do you think that is? Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
40s. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I know.
80-something years old now. Jeez, Dad.
Yeah, no kidding. So, but no, they had at the arena, at the Forum, they had their hot dogs were bar none the best. Even their hot dogs, I get it. But they would butter fry the buns, and it was all crispy, and it was like hot dog on toast. And it was I haven't found one yet that matches that flavor, that taste. They were so good. I could eat those every day. It wouldn't be good for my health, but I could eat them every single freaking day. And then before the games, we'd always go to a place, and they'd have these the hot meat smoked meat sandwiches from they're notorious for in Montreal, and they'd have gravy on the fries. And I mean, I tell you, I wondered why I was so fat as a kid, and I know why, because of all the crap I would eat, even though I played and I was burning off a lot of energy, calories, whatever you want to call it. But man, I tell you, some of those foods, when you watch the grease coming through the bag, it's like you just know, you could just hear your arteries whistling once you eat down a whole bag of those fries and the gravy on top of it.
I don't want to hear any arteries whistling. So that's wild.
Yeah. Well, whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
So anyway, so we'll...
Sorry, one last one, because I just thought of it. There's a burger at South Boston Speedway in, I think, where's South Boston? It's like Virginia, I think.
Yeah, Virginia.
Mm-hmm. It's a burger with nacho cheese on top of it. That shit was ridiculous. I think I ate 4 that night. But yeah, no, that's another cart.
With the fake, the nacho, like the melted Velveeta cheese
on it. Oh, it was
on
disgusting to look at, but oh my God, did it taste good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing healthy in a stick of Velveeta.
No. It was the most unhealthy thing I could have eaten, but good God, was it good. I think I had 4 that night, so.
So we'll spin off the cookie jar question, and then we'll kind of go back and kind of bring you guys into the mixer, and kind of we've been around this game a long time. We've done a lot of things. We've traveled a lot. Probably been to more cities than most kids that you guys went to school with, high school wise or friends growing up. But there were so many stories about, as we go on these trips and as we, go to these tournaments and getting on airplanes and going all over the country. And, we didn't make it outside of North America, but
yeah, we did. We went to North America. I'm a dumbass. Sorry.
Well, North America. So
we went to Canada.
Okay, geography lesson for co-host Kyle is Canada is still in North America.
Yep. Kyle's just dense. No worries.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we thought I'd ask, Kyle asked earlier, let's give a funny story that you've had along the way. And I don't know if you guys want me to go first, or if you guys have yours queued up, but I have 4 or 5 listed on a card that I can think of right away that, for me, sometimes they may not be funny, but they were funny now, but not funny then. Stories, I guess, is the way I'll preface it. But, so who wants to go first?
Why don't you lead into it? You sound like you had a good one queued up. Yeah.
All right.
You had a couple good ones.
All right. So this one's I don't remember how long ago, but this is a tournament you went to, Kyle, and we were up in Maryland, and we'd always go to Maryland because it was close, and they always had tournaments. So, and I think we're still playing in Greensboro at the time. So you were at that time a Greensboro Star.
Let's go Stars.
And I'm thinking probably squirt level. I'm pretty sure it was squirt level. So that would be 9 and 10. So we were heading into the semifinals on Sunday morning, and Saturday night, we were out to dinner doing something, and I got a phone call from a random number, and it wasn't somebody that I recognized because it wasn't in my phone. And so I answered, and very professional sounding person on the other end of the phone said, he was with the tournament and wanted to, verify a couple of roster players, wanted to see birth certificates and all that kind of stuff. And I went back, and at that time I was, coach, team manager, and whatever. And it just so happened that the 2 players that he was asking about, I did not have their birth certificates. And so, as you can imagine, heading into the semifinals, and I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. And then we got deep into it. I said, okay. I said, nope, no problem. So I'm running through my head, how the hell do I get these birth certificates? There's everybody that's here that would have availability to them is here. So I can't call somebody and say, fax me a copy of your kid's birth certificate. So he hung up, and about 10 minutes later, he gave me 10 minutes to stew on this and just try to lose my mind. So I went through a dozen scenarios of how I'm going to wiggle my way through this. And I get a phone call back, same number. He's like, he says, is this Paul? I said, yeah. He's like, hey, Paul, this is Elson. And I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. It was my assistant coach. Because I had told him earlier that I said, I hope the tournament director doesn't call because I'm missing 2 birth certificates, and I completely forgot about it. And you talk about going from one emotion to another. That was absolutely insane. I about killed him the next day. I was so mad, but I was so glad at the same time that he called me back and said this was me. So, so that was not funny at the time, but when you think about it, pretty good. The original prank or whatever they call those shows where you get pranked. I mean, he got me good because I didn't know what I was going to do. And I think we ended up, that was a silver stick.
I was going to say,
actually.
that was we won the semifinals, lost in the finals, but we still got to go to one of the 2 tournaments in Canada.
Yep, because I had to make a really tough call that day. We had 2 goalies, and Jack, and then we had Matty. Matty was the younger of the 2, really a gamer. I mean, he played well. And so I told him, both. And actually, I think Matty made the call. And he said, no, he said, I want Jack to play. He's like, he needs, because this guarantees we go. He's like, I could play. And that's who I was going to go with, was Matty. And so Jack played. We got into the finals, and Matty played in the final game. And he played lights out. And we ended up losing 2-0, but it was, one was an empty net goal. But those are the things where, a kid's going to do well down the road when he has that awareness.
He understands,
and he understands the game, and he understands what's on the line. And I really, I appreciated him very much for that, because he made the call, and it was the right thing for the team, not what was right for Matty.
Who scored
who
scored the game winner in the semis? I forget, because we won 3-2.
I think it was Dawson.
It was me. It was off the pig.
Oh, it was.
Dawson was the center.
Oh, the pig. That's right.
Dawson just shot it on net, and I grabbed the rebound.
Yeah, we had a right-handed centerman. Yep. That's right. We had a right-handed centerman, and I said, who's righty? And I said, Dawson just fired on net. And we had almost everybody down.
I think we had 4 guys on the one hash. We just pummeled to the net.
Yeah, we did. So
because we pulled the goalie because we needed to win.
Like I said, I got 3 or 4 more.
You remember that because if we tied, they went through on goal differential. Correct. So we had to win the game in order to go through. And so
it was the semis.
Yes,
though.
but either way we would lose on the goal because there was no overtime in that.
It was one of those stupid.
There was no overtimes in those tournaments. There was only game clock time. So if the game ended in a tie, the team with the better goal differential went through, and we were not the better of the 2 teams' goal differential. So we pulled the goalie with like a minute remaining, tied 2-2 to try and score to win. We had 4 guys on that hash mark. I remember the play so vividly. But it was Dawson won the faceoff, shot right on goal, and then there was 3 guys pounding to the net, and I think there was Alex. What was Alex's last name?
Well, it's no, we had Alex Eckenrod. We had Eckenrod. He was big.
So it was Alex Eckenrod goes through, fires it off the pad again, and then I pick up the second rebound and put it into the net. I remember it vividly. That was one of my favorite goals because it was a play that we drew up the night before, and we were like, "Hey, this might work. We're gonna have it in the back pocket." We go in. The team comes up with a name. We call it the Pig, and sure as shit, the last minute of the game, it ends up winning us the damn game. So,
yep. So anyway, so that was my. So what about you? Who wants to go next?
I got one.
Kyle, you're good.
So I'm not going to name any names because it's a bit of a vulgar-ish story, but it's a 2-fold story. So we're I don't remember where the tournament was, but I'm playing on the Eagles at this point. I'm not going to say what year it was because then it'll kind of give away who I'm talking about. So we're playing on the Eagles, and we have this goalie who is goalies, they're always a bit, left field. They're a bit out there. They're a bit egregious. And this goalie did not like being clothed for some reason. So would walk around the locker room just butt naked the entire time. Would just nothing. no jockstrap, no nothing, just would walk around this way. And so we're at a tournament. We're about 10 minutes till game time. Meanwhile, this kid's supposed to be starting. And he always got dressed like 5 minutes before the game actually started. He was one of the goalies that really got dressed really quick and just kind of got in and got out. We're about 10 minutes till game time. I have my entire lower half on. I got my skates tied up. I'm going into the bathroom to fill up water. Well, sure as shit, our head coach is following in behind me to fill up waters in the bath, or to I forget what he was doing, but he was looking for players, basically. Well, he walks into the bathroom, and I'm walking into the bathroom, and all we see is this goalie, butt naked, trying to hang himself from the shower curtain. Because I forget what happened, but something happened during like a sewer ball game, and he's like, oh, he got so angry. He's sitting there. He has the shower curtain tied around his neck. He's sitting there butt naked. He's not actually doing anything to like hurt himself. It was more of a joking manner. But then he's just sitting there, and our head coach walks in. He's like, what the fuck is going on? She's like, what is going on in here? Because we have him in there trying to do what he's doing. And then in the background, we got two guys vaping. We got just an absolute array of things going on. And then anyways, our coach ends up saying, you know what? You're not playing this game. We're going to put our other goalie in because clearly this is just like you're completely unfocused. You're not focused. You're not doing anything. And after we end up losing that game, it was like 5-2 or something like that. So we all get back into the locker room. We're all angry. We're all pissed off because I think it was the semifinal games or something like that in this tournament. End up losing. We're out of the tournament. And before the coach even comes into the locker room, this same goalie has half of his equipment off and is rubbing icy hot on an area you don't really want to rub icy hot. And then the coach walks in to give the post-game speech. The goalie's sitting over there, and he is in agonizing pain as he's sitting there going back and forth like, oh. And finally, coach looks over. He's like, "What is going on? What is happening? Like, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Coach, I accidentally got icy hot on an area, and it's in pain." And so halfway through the speech, he's running out of the locker room to go into the shower to wash off the icy hot off of him. But oh my God, like that is just the most banana lands thing I've ever seen. I'm walking in, and I was always more of I was not one to joke pregame. I didn't like joking pregame. I like to get into the zone. I was not a big talker pregame, but just the characters on the team. It takes a crew of different personalities to make a team. And some guys, they get ready doing it that way where they're just joking. They're being crazy. They're being goofballs. Other guys need it a little bit differently, but my God, that year was so memorable because there's so many of those stories where it's just like, you'd walk in and you'd be like, what, what is actually happening? This is just a Gong Show gone wrong.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and I know the guy you're talking about, but in any situation though, he's a gamer.
Oh, great goalie.
When you put him in a clutch game, he'll win that game, even if he's got to kill himself to do it. He'll win that game. He was so good in those scenarios. But he was a damn head case at times, and he'd lose his freaking mind. Where the other guy was just like, he was like a textbook. He was total opposite, but in a good way. So what about you, Cam? Anything jump to mind for you?
I mean, there's a couple, but I mean, I guess the one that I kind of remember the best, because the other ones are, I mean, all of it's kind of foggy at this point. Like I kind of remember some stuff I remember, and some stuff I don't, but I mean, the one that I can think of that I still think of sometimes is we were in, I don't know what year it was. I think it was I believe it was the year with Muldoon. It was either him or it was the first year with O'Leary. We were in Chicago for a tournament, and it was, we were all in a caravan, like following each other for some reason. And I'm saying that it was like Hartman, Herrera, us, and I don't know if there was a fourth car in there, but I don't know who was in charge of directions, but we got lost like bad. Like I think we were on the other side of the city. Like we were like 40 minutes away from the rink. We pull into this like empty parking lot.
That was one of my questions.
Oh, was it?
One. It's Chicago.
Oh my God. It was a nightmare. It was like, I mean, you're just running around, and
finally somebody stopped the car, or I think the lead car stopped. I don't know if it was Hartman or whatever, because I got a flat tire.
That was us.
Oh,
we got the flat tire.
Oh, well, it was us. Well, then we were the lead car for some reason. I don't know where we got directions from, but we got and then we had to like stuff all the gear into one car, and we finally got the right address. We start going to the game, and I think we walk into the rink, and it's like the game just started. Like it's like 4 or 5 of us running into the rink. The game was probably a minute or two underway. Yeah. So we get in the locker room. I mean, I can get dressed pretty quick. So, I was done in 5 minutes, and then one of the other guys took a little bit longer. I think we ended up figuring out he ended up pooping himself while he was trying to get ready, and he had to wash off his gear because he actually like shit himself in his gear, which was insane. I won't say who it is, but yeah, he had to like wash off his gear and change and stuff. No, that was insanity. I've never been so like confused in my life. I mean, I don't understand how we got the address so wrong. We were literally on the other side of the city.
We had to shove everybody in gear into one rental car.
Yeah, into one.
Enough because it was Hartman. I think it was
me. It was me, Hartman, Herrera, and there was one other person. I don't know.
Arnie
who it
was in there too.
Arnie was traveling with, and we were like sitting on gear and stuff. Like we were sitting on each other's
gear.
laps.
We had gear shoved in the back seat, and I think I was one of the coaches actually. So it was actually Muldoon.
Oh, it was Muldoon. Yeah. I was thinking that might have been.
So it was just like. So Tony and Steven took the rental car back to the arena, and so they said, "Just go. We'll change the tire. You go. Get the kids there." And I tell you, that was wild. That was absolutely wild. Not only did we get the directions so wrong, we went to the wrong rink, and I don't think it was actually a rink.
It wasn't a rink. It was
like
an empty lot. Like it wasn't even a rink. I don't know.
There was nothing there.
There was nothing there. It was crazy.
So
I was like,
I'm
where
not sure
are
if
we?
it was somebody from the other team that gave us the wrong directions,
must have.
but. We got there, and I think you guys missed about the first 10 minutes of the first period.
Yeah, it was like the first half of the first period or something.
Yeah. So, and I don't recall if we actually won the game. I think we were up actually.
I don't remember.
By the time everybody got on the bench.
I don't remember. Yeah, that was crazy though.
But yeah, that was fun and frolicking in Chicago.
We did kind of the same thing in Chicago though, Dad. But I showed up with like 10 minutes before the game started because remember we got caught. I think we got delayed. Our flight got delayed to Chicago because that was when we rode first class. Yeah, the one time we actually rode first class, it was like a $20 upgrade or something. It was stupid cheap to upgrade the ticket. So we were like, okay, let's run it. And then we got delayed at the terminal, and then we ended up getting into. I think I'm almost positive it was Chicago as well too. But we get into Chicago, and the whole team is like in the dressing room, ready to go. The coach is giving the pregame speech, and there I come trundling into the locker room like. Well, shit, I'm late.
Yeah, no, and I'll do, I know I said I would table some of these, but I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I wasn't a saint when I was a player, so this one's gonna be going back way time for me, and it was in high school. I think it was my last year of high school, and so it was a snow day or something at whatever, but. We ended up all getting together. There's 3 or 4 of us. We still had practice though. So we had practice like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, not much to do in the Great North Country. When it's snowing out. So what do you do when it's a snow day? Well, unfortunately, we'd had a little bit too much to drink, and we all ended up showing up at practice at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And not a one of us should have been on the ice, but we just kind of ran with it. And I know a buddy of mine, I grew up with him since we were little kids. We were neighbors, and he jumped on the ice. He goes about 100 miles an hour, about 2 laps, and then absolutely throws up everywhere. So it was puke all over the ice. And so by that time, the coach had figured it out, sent us off the ice, and we got a 1 game from the press box, for doing that. But those are, I mean, as well as I do, there's shit that you guys do in the room, that's room stuff that doesn't even make its way to air, and which is part of growing up and part of doing stupid shit, because you don't learn how to not do stupid shit until you do some. Then you figure, well, probably shouldn't have done that, but hey, I did it. I learned from it, move on. But yeah, no, that was a crazy one. And I'm actually glad the coach kicked us off because one of us would have gotten hurt. There's no doubt. We should not have put skates on that day. I'm surprised we even got to tire skates.
That's like when I was in college, our captain's practices before the season would be Friday morning, and Thursday was the biggest night to go out. I think every captain's practice, we had at least 90% of the team showing up after coming home from the bars. It would be like, because the captain's skate was at like 5 a.m. So these guys would get home at like 3:30 in the morning, take a 30-minute cat nap, and then come back to the rink to then go skate for captain. It was a gong show the entire time. So yeah. Those are good stories.
So so we'll table that. I think we've exposed a little bit more than I probably should have, but that's okay.
It's fine.
I don't care. Hey, I'm 50.
What are you talking about? You're born in the 40s, so you're 80 something years old.
Yeah,
now.
I was born in the 40s, so so I shouldn't. I should be, well into retirement age at this point.
So. Right.
So anyway, I think we're about an hour or so in, Kyle. I think what we'll do is we'll spin to anything from around the league you guys want to talk about. That's mine would be the surprise in Columbus that how well they're playing right now based on their roster.
It's still last in the Metro.
Yeah, they are.
Have a winning record.
But they're playing more. They're playing better. So they were probably in another conference. They may be doing a little bit better. So. But anything else you guys want to touch on before we head to our 3 stars for the week?
I guess the big one I kind of want to touch on that I feel like we haven't talked a ton about this year, and I know we don't always watch the West Coast games, but I feel like we should make mention of them. Winnipeg Jets have been absolutely on fire this year. They're 18-6 so far this year, and they're leading the NHL in the point percentage, I'm pretty sure at this point, or they're tied with Minnesota. Yeah, they're tied with Minnesota. But one guy I want to make note of, probably going to be on Team USA's roster for the Four Nations, which we can actually kind of do that for this segment too, is kind of go over what we think the Four Nations rosters are going to look like and who we think could slide in.
So that could be a long episode. I think we should make that its own
episode. Make that its own episode, but we could briefly go.
I think that its own thing.
We briefly go.
We're gonna get into a 3-hour episode if we start doing that.
But the guy I really want to make note of, Kyle Connor. He's been absolutely ridiculous this year, as well as Ehlers. Both of them have really kind of taken the team by storm. But the big piece, Connor Hellebuck. He's right up there as one of the best goalies in the NHL. He's a Vezina winner. It's hard to say that he's not one of the best when you do win a Vezina. I think immediately when you win a Vezina, it kind of puts you into that conversation. But let me just say, Team USA looking awfully special this year. We got goaltending, we got forwards, we got defense, we got a lot of good things cooking. And then on top of that, we have probably the best defenseman in the NHL defensively playing on Team USA, because Jacob Slavin will be playing on Team USA. So that is great to see. The one surprising thing I did see, just to kind of briefly go over the Four Nations, I believe actually Jesperi Kotkaniemi made Team Finland for the Four Nations, which I was
they haven't announced the rosters yet.
Yes, but I think he's one of the guys that, whether he's been announced or not, but he's been on all the Finnishes, like the Finnish people's projected roster list for what they think is going to end up being the roster. But Kotkaniemi slotting in as like the 3rd or 4th line center. I was just genuinely surprised, more or less, at the fact of, like, I know Kotkaniemi is he's a good player. I was just kind of a little surprised that he's going to be on that roster with the rest of the team, but you also don't know what they're looking for. So I hope he does make the team, and I hope he is on it, because I think it would be a big boost to his confidence, and it might end up helping him a lot more than it hurts him, being able to don the Finnish jersey. But Aho is going to be a guarantee. Slavin's going to be a guarantee. I'm trying to think. Do we have any Swedish guys? We don't have any Swedish guys, do we?
No.
We had Jesper Foss, but that's the only one.
Jesper Foss, but no. How about a first line for the Finnish team with Barkov, Rantanen,
that's
and
going to
Aho?
be ridiculous.
Well, it's assuming Aho plays the wing, yeah.
Well, assuming he plays wing, yeah.
They were talking. It looked like they were talking about him playing second line with Line A and I forget who playing second line with Line A. Holy smokes! With Rantanen and Barkov. Yeah. Which I get that. Too. I get it. Aho's to be completely fair, I'd probably put Aho on the wing and put Rantanen or Barkov as my second line center because both of them have way better face-off percentage than Aho does because Aho struggles in the face-off circle.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's not get too far in the weeds there. But I do agree that it'd be good to maybe we'll add that to next week or down the road a bit. We'll talk about the Four Nations.
Maybe we can do a little midweek episode of just Four Nations talk, like a little 30-minute segment.
Yeah. But so anything from you, Cam, around the league, or do you want to pop right into the 3 stars?
No, yeah, I'm good. We already mentioned kind of the trades with Wedgwood and then David Juracek going to Minnesota from Columbus. So those are really the only 2 big things. Everything else is kind of pretty much the same as it was the week before. So.
Okay. All right. So 3 stars then. Kind of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of week. So I think I have my 3. Even though my 3rd star was a little bit difficult to come up with. So who wants to go first? Kyle, how about you?
Geez, hold on. I'm writing mine down real quick. I'm thinking of
it. Well, I got for
Cam. Yeah, you go first. Yeah, that's a good one.
For me, number 3 is probably Chatfield. I think he's had a really good week for sure, and even coming off of last week as well with his points and everything. So I think him and Orlov have been probably the best D pair consistently. They've been really good. Second star for me is probably Natchez just because he keeps putting up the points that he needs to be. And then for me, the first is Jarvis. He's just been so good since he got back from injury. Those are really my 3. I don't really have much to elaborate on just because it's kind of a, it's hard to pick 3 stars after the last 2 games. But yeah, no, overall, I would say those 3 for me.
Yeah, I have my 3 now. My 3rd star of the week is going to actually be Jesperi Kotkaniemi. I think ever since he got slid off of that second line onto that third line, I think he's had 4 points this week. Actually been playing, in my opinion, relatively good. And I think he deserves his props. He had 2 goals, 2 assists this week. So big hats off to KK. Hopefully, like I said, it continues. He goes through these ebbs and flows, it feels like, every year. So I'm hoping he can kind of figure out the consistency side of things. Second star, Jalen Chatfield as well too, Cam. I think he's been our best defenseman this week outside of Jacob Slavin, but I feel like he could be first star every week if we were just looking at that portion of it. I think up and down the ice, he's been really good. Orlov's been struggling a little bit, in my opinion, defensively. I think Chatfield made a massive upgrade into really solidifying that defensive side of his game, and I think his speed has really shown this week as well too. I feel like a couple previous weeks, looked a little slower than he typically would, so it's good to see his speed back up. And then first star is going to be Seth Jarvis. Ever since coming back from injury, he's been lights out. He's been, like I said, our best player this week outside of struggled a little bit turnover-wise in the Florida and in the both Florida games in reality. But I think the whole team kind of struggled in a way against Florida, so you have to be near perfect to beat Florida, and we just weren't that. So, but first star will be Seth Jarvis for me as well too.
All right, so I'll go from bottom up too. I really had a hard time with number 3 because I bounced around a lot of different players, but I think I have sort of a tie, but I'll give one guy a higher nod than the other. I think the other guy's coming on. He's been playing well, but still playing a little bit soft and taking penalties when he shouldn't. Well, maybe not taking penalties when he shouldn't, but he's playing a little bit too nice, I guess is a better way of putting it. So I think for number 3, I'm gonna go. I agree, Jalen Chatfield had a great week, but for the 3A, I'm gonna go with Svechnikov. I think his game is coming around. I thought he played really well yesterday for the most part. But again, I think he's playing a little bit soft. He's almost too nice on the ice. When it, you could see him during plays. He's he's complimentary to the goalie. I mean, to make it a save rather than chirping him, saying, I'm coming for you. I think he needs to pick up a little bit of a nastiness side to his game to really elevate where he can play. But I think his game's coming around, and I think that's a good sign for us. But I think Jalen Chatfield has been probably our best defenseman, game in and game out for the last.
So who's your number 3? Is it Svetch or Chatfield?
Chatfield.
Okay, I thought it was Svetch. Okay, Chatfield.
Yeah. Well, he was my 3A, I guess. So he'll be my honorable mention.
So Svetch is the honorable. Okay.
Yeah, and then I think Kotkaniemi too. I think she's number 2. He's really come on, and I think he's really energized. And the thing I like about him is he got bumped, and he didn't
sulk,
feel bad for himself. He didn't they outpour me and I should be on the second line. No, I mean, you play well, you perform, you get ice time. I don't give a crap. It's the first line or fourth line. If you're playing well and executing, then you're going to get on the ice. It doesn't matter. So, and then number 1 for sure, Seth Jarvis. I think he added something back to our lineup that we were desperately missing, and he's going to continue to be that player for the rest of the year. Then I think we're in a good row as long as we can fix a couple of other spots on the ice. But I like the way his game. I wasn't real excited about. Yeah, Marty Nate's just getting points, but I really he's. Times during some of the games, that's why he's not in the top 3, is he's just getting too cute. He's getting to that back into his game too much. And I think that's where, he's confident, but at the same time, he's got to play a simple game, and he got to simplify his game a little bit. And I think once he does that, then he'll bounce his way back in the top 3 because he's going to get points every game. I mean, I'll just when we get shut out, but I think he's gonna be a contributor every single game. So he didn't make it, but if he continues to try to simplify his game, then he'll be back in the 3 stars for weeks to come. So that's my 3.
Perfect.
So we'll spin, I guess, final shift of the show. What do you guys, anything else you guys want to add, or are we want to tell everybody to get off the air and get back to Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah. The final thing I want to add, 2 home games this week, Seattle, then Colorado. If we can come out with 4 points through those 2 games, that's a massive boost in the right direction. Hopefully Kochetkov's back soon. And I think the last game was only our 5th game that we didn't score 4 or more goals. The last 2 games were 2 of the
last 2 games.
So before those last 2 games, we had scored either 4 or more goals in every one of our games outside of the first game of the season against Tampa, and then there's one other game that we didn't score 4. But
yeah, I think it was 13 out of 15.
So really good to see that. The biggest concern that we had going into the season was our scoring and our offense, and that has been pretty well documented that we're doing pretty well this year on that regard. Now our biggest concern is goaltending, so we just got to kind of take it day by day in that regard, as Kochetkov is day by day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't go too many day by days because we'll day by day ourselves right into a non-playoff spot. So that and again. For me, I think you're right. These are 2 games that we can win. We just have to play. I mean, Dallas and Colorado are very similar teams. They come at you with waves of
Colorado's top end talent's way better than Dallas's top end talent.
Yeah, I think it is too. But they come at you in waves, and they continue to come at you like Dallas does. And they're sort of like Florida. They're a little bit like Florida. They come at you with they don't have as much. I don't think Florida has as much top end talent as Colorado does, but they're going to come at you in waves, and I think we just have to play our game. We have to attack. If we're running with Martin, then we have to just attack every single shift. We have to score 6, 7 goals to guarantee a win.
Shouldn't be too hard against Georgiev, though. But The one thing I want to just make note, the difference between Florida, Dallas, and Colorado is Colorado's top end is way better than all the other two teams, but the depth between Dallas and Florida is significantly higher. We need to shut down the top line of Colorado, and then we have to eat alive the bottom three lines because they struggle with their depth.
Yep.
But anytime McKinnon's skating up ice, it's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yep. Yeah, I know. He's
so powerful.
He's so
it's crazy.
Yeah, so good. So, all right, Cam, anything? You're good?
Yeah, I'm all set.
I'm all set too. All right, good. Well, that'll wrap episode 43 of Canes Local. So we appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. And if you like it, give us a subscribe and like it and follow us on all the other social media platforms that we're currently linked to. So we'll see you next Sunday or earlier. You never know. We may come at you with another episode or a short form. So just keep an eye out, and we'll talk to you soon.